Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are having a super amazing day. I will say this, like, I have been so tired these last couple of days. And I don't think it's a matter of like, I'm not sleeping right or this and that. Like, me and my husband, when he has his work week, like, we always get up super early together. And when I say super early, I mean it's in between, depending on when he wants to get to work, it's in between like 4:15 and 4:45 in the morning. And I know it might seem crazy to some people, excuse me, but that's just the habit we get into. You know, he loves to be early to work, and I personally love, like, sending him off in a manner of speaking, like telling him, you know, obviously I love him and I hope he has a good day. And more often than not, too, like, if he wants coffee, I make him coffee that morning. And we kind of just work as a team. And it's one of those where, like, he gets ready for work and I make his coffee up. Or when he's actually in an office and not on the ship, like, I'll make him a lunch and stuff like that. We're that cheesy couple, but I have no idea why. Just this last like 3 days that we've gotten up early, I have, like, this morning was weird because I felt fine and I felt super rested, but then, like, as the morning continued, I was just like, oh, I'm so tired and I don't know why. But it happens. You know, it does happen. And, like, for me personally, I at around like 6:30 in the morning, I go for a 3 mile walk in the mornings. And I, as soon as like my walk is done, I've just been exhausted and don't know what it is. Trying to, maybe my body just needs to catch up. But it happens. But anyways, jumping into this video for today, got sidetracked, I'm sorry. But yeah, I really wanted to do watercolor. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for the illustration. And so I kind of did something a little different in the sense of I decided to go through some of my older artwork and some of kind of my portrait illustrations, because that's really where I started off with drawing girls, was doing portrait illustrations. And I know I've said that in the past, where like I started with just drawing faces and then progressed to doing the full body over quite a long period of time, because I wanted to really feel comfortable and confident in doing faces. And doing faces in my own kind of style, finding my own way to do it. And really, illustrations like this one were what helped me. And I've always personally been privy to doing illustrations like this, or had a love for doing illustrations that are portrait illustrations. And it was just nice to kind of go back and do that for a change. And I drew inspiration actually from one of my old illustrations or drawings. I can't say it was an illustration because it was literally just a sketch. And the pose, basically everything is the same for this one, if I'm being honest. Like, I did change up the hair a bit. Like, in the hair in that sketch, I had like flowers, and I decided to just, you know, draw the same kind of similar design and see where it goes, because I knew I wanted to turn it into a watercolor piece. And that was kind of the funny thing and the great thing with doing this is I knew, excuse me, I am just terrible today. I knew when I went for it that I wanted to finally take that step, be bold, and go for using my Arches watercolor pad that I've been so hesitant and so, like, on edge about using. Like, I don't know, because the paper is so expensive. And obviously I didn't want to use it and then hate the illustration and be like, I just wasted one of those like $3 pieces of paper. You know what I'm saying? And that's where too it kind of helped me to go, all right, you need to take your time and really build the color and see, you know, what you can do and see how it goes, and kind of just take your time with it and have fun with it. And that's what I did. And you can see, like, I put like 5 layers of color in the hair alone just to kind of get the hair where I wanted it to be, which I feel like the hair took me the longest, but I think that's because at first I had this whole idea of like, oh, I want to do this like light pinkish purple with like blue, like a lightish blue tones mixed in there, and kind of see where they go and mix them together. And then as I laid it down and was gonna build the second layer, I was like, no, like I need to go darker. And then I just got to this like, I need to go darker, darker. And I finally found this like really lovely like purple that just kind of worked. And it definitely like wouldn't have worked if I didn't build up the layers to it. And I think building up the layers the way that I did would allow me to add kind of like a texture and add the lines for the movement so you can actually see the hair without having to ink the lines in, because I didn't want to do the heavy lines of just putting like ink down for the hair specifically. I wanted to leave the hair as something that, you know, was flowy and open and just color, and using the color to create the depth and the dimension of like having the harsh ink lines. And it's kind of where I tried to separate the hair from the face is, you know, obviously I have some very deep ink lines on the face. I try to make some a little more bold and some a little more thin so that they could mix well with the color and kind of build and see where it would go, but you still have the more harsh, you know, ink lines to give you that kind of preface or preface to what the illustration is supposed to be without having to like build the formation of the face using the watercolor. Now granted, that's something I want to do over time, but over time I'm more than happy with just inking the face first. I do love the way that it looks. I love kind of having the mixture of bold ink lines to like no ink lines. And the only thing that I found that I'm super bummed I didn't get on camera is I used a gold paint to kind of create her floating crown. And I realized in editing as I was looking at it that all my painting of her crown is off camera. And I apologize for that ahead of time. It's really nothing fancy if I'm being realistic. Like, I just do a simple little floating crown that you've seen in many of my illustrations before, but it was just one of those where I was like, dang it. Why did I miss that? But it happens. I definitely didn't check the camera as I was painting it. I just like went straight into painting it and was like, oh, it'll be fine. And then obviously I'm editing it and I'm like, dag nab you. But it was just nice kind of taking that step and going back to the classy illustrations and doing the portrait and just having fun with it, and really kind of letting myself be a bit more bold with watercolor, which makes me super nervous when I do, because I'm so hesitant. And I really, in all honesty, like, there's so much more I want to do with watercolor because I absolutely love the look. And I feel like this for me was a great kind of starting basis for moving into that direction, because that's exactly what I want to do. Is I want to start really doing a mixture of illustrations in Copics, because I do absolutely love using Copic markers and or alcohol markers in general. Copics kind of been like the ones that I've known, and the ones that I personally like have experience with, that I've kind of figured out for myself how to use. And granted, I know like they're alcohol markers, so there's not much of a difference from other ones. But anyways, it's one of those where after doing this piece, like I realize more and more how much I absolutely love watercolor. I love the way that I can make it flow and work and build and like slowly build the layers, rather than like, here's the color, here's your shading. Everything's like instantaneous. And I think that's why also, in all honesty, it's hard for me to get into digital illustrations. Like I do every so often do like digital drawings and stuff like that, and I definitely still try and practice them in kind of my own time, but it's so hard for me compared to traditional. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are amazing. Thank you for listening to my ramblings throughout this whole video. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy and have an amazing day.